if you want a Yeti and you want to do a good deed to support our high angle rescue team, pick one up. We'd really appreciate that. Jackson Marvel's here, and Jackson is starting to become a veteran of this festival. Every year he comes, and we really appreciate what he does for our festival, the presentations, and the clinics that he puts on. He is brought to us by North Face, who is one of our major sponsors and has been for years. Matt Cornell has an interesting story in that Matt is a Michigan boy. And he learned to climb in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And he was also sent by North Face. All right, so these guys pulled off a major accomplishment this spring. And I am a huge fan of climbing and all the things that these guys do. And Matt, he wasn't really exaggerating when I was trying to text Jackson when he was in Nepal after finishing the climb to do this presentation. But I think I talked to Brenna, and she talked maybe you into doing this, and I'm so excited to see this. These guys are here to entertain us with an amazing accomplishment of their climb of Janu. So with that, a warm welcome to Jackson Marvel and Matt Cornell.
Yeah, there must be someone in the water out here because there's a lot of strong Michiganders.
All right, so we are here to talk about this mountain on the screen that we climbed this last fall. What was it, October that we climbed it?
October 7th through the 13th.
Yeah, so we're pretty excited about it, and thank you all for being here. Jump into it.
So the North Face of Janu was first climbed in 2004 by a siege-style Russian team over the course of 60 days.
They fixed 11,000 feet of rope on the wall and had portal-edge camps strung all the way up to the summit just about. And they were using tactics where they would support the lead team. So they had 12 guys, and they'd have, most of the guys would be just shuttling loads up the fixed lines to the portal-edge camps to keep the lead team supplied and moving.
The climbing was obviously very difficult. They used lots of points of aid, and this base had shut down many of the world's best climbers at the time for year after year after year. This is something that had been tried since, I think, the late 70s. There were a few teams that had been out there, and they'd all strayed away from the main North Face head wall. And then there were stronger teams throughout the decades continuing to try this base without success, and they'd all get turned around at the base of the head wall and go to the Wall of Shadows, which is a wall to the left, or bob and weave their way through weaknesses. So it was a really impressive feat at the time, and that stood for just about 20 years. And it really inspired us to see what was actually possible on the North Face of Janu at high elevation.
So that leads us to us three. I'm on the left. In the middle, we've got Alan Rousseau, who a lot of you probably know from this festival as well. But he's not with us this year at the festival. And then Mr. Matt.
So yeah, we left the States in early September and began our approach to base camp. It's a long journey to get there. It takes about 2 weeks from the time you leave the States till you get into base camp. And so when we leave Kathmandu, we go for a 24-hour bus ride to the town of Tapoljang, and then we switch vehicles to get into 4x4 Jeeps, which we ride for 8 hours over a switchbacking road through the foothills and the jungle to get to the end of the road where we can then begin our approach.
From the end of the road, we have 7 days of walking to get to our base camp. starting at around 5,000 feet and ending at our base camp at 15,500 feet. And the whole way we're just walking next to this beautiful raging river called the Gunsa River, which apparently an American has kayaked, and we confirmed, and it's insane. Oh, that's video.
Yeah, through this section, it's a tight kind of valley, jungle canyon, and for the first 2 days of the approach, you're walking through leeches and, you know, a bunch of vegetation. Beautiful waterfalls. You can hardly tell there's some of the biggest mountains in the world just up the valley from you.
Yeah, so in 2021, we're rewinding a little bit here, but in 2021, Alan and I had the idea to go out there and try and climb this north face of Janu. So he and I went out that first year, and we made it up to 7,200 meters on the wall in a beautiful window, but we had closing weather coming in, or closing weather window, and so we made the decision to come down, which we were validated in because it snowed, 4 feet of snow in base camp the next day. And then from there, the season sort of shut down and we left. But we were ready to come back the next year.
So in 2022, Alan and I returned. This was my first attempt on the face. It was Alan's second, and we climbed to about 6,500 meters until we got shut down by really bad weather, really high winds. We were at our camp that night in a hanging portaledge bivvy, and the winds were so strong that they were lifting us up and throwing us around all throughout the night. It was frigid cold. It was too late in the season. And so, as you can tell by this video, when we were rappelling, it was really bad conditions. We were getting hit by all the spin drift coming down, all this falling snow. And it just wasn't the right year for it. We didn't have the right weather. And so we didn't even make it close to what Alan and Jackson had on their first attempt the prior year.
And that leads us to 2023, where we all returned.
Yeah, in this photo, this was taken the day after we had bailed off the face and returned to base camp. All these kind of wispy clouds up here are a sign of the jet stream flowing over the mountain. So it was too late in the season, and the jet stream had actually lowered because it's getting colder and just whipping over the mountain. So those clouds indicate around like 60 to 100 mile per hour winds.
Yeah, the weather can be pretty harsh out there, and changes really fast.
Yeah, we go in the post-monsoon season. So the monsoon starts around May in the Himalaya, and throughout the summer, because it warms up and brings a lot of moisture with it, it dumps a lot of rain and snow up higher, and so we can't climb in that kind of weather. But we need that weather to plaster the north face with snow and ice so we can actually climb it a little bit easier, because when the Russian team that climbed this face in siege style, they went pre-monsoon, so the wall is a lot drier, it's more barren rock. And we're looking for the ice and snow that we can free climb a little easier on and maybe a little quicker. And so by going later in the season, we need the window for the monsoon to clear early so the weather's warm enough for us to be on a north-facing aspect where we don't see any sun, and have it warm, the ambient air temperature warm enough for us to climb, but before the jet stream has a chance to lower and the winter temperatures set in. So it's a really small, tricky window to hit, and it can take a few seasons to get that right even.
Yeah, so 2023, we returned to Nepal with all of us, as well as some other friends and Matt and Alan's partners, and had a truly wonderful time walking up into base camp with everyone. Took it really slow, and the energy of the trip was just so different from other years where there'd been a lot of trepidation walking into base camp. But this last year, we were just having a blast all together, and we weren't feeling too much fear yet.
And so one of the big proponents of our climb was that our friend Nathan from G7 Equipment came out to base camp and hand-delivered us a bunch of cutting-edge, innovative gear or technology for this climb. One of them being a 3-person sleeping bag that only came up to about our belly buttons. And so he came out and hand-delivered it so he could make modifications in the field to our specific needs. And so here we were in one of the tea houses till almost midnight, just modifying the sleeping bag to fit the 3 of us and have it down to the right weight and size.
We tested it. We approve.
And then, while the monsoon was still ongoing and we're still getting a bunch of rain and snow up high, we acclimatized on Merritt Peak, which is a 6,000 meter peak, 20,000 feet, directly behind base camp. So we kind of hike up there. We had a couple other friends in base camp with us that were trying to climb in the valley as well. So they joined us, and this was at our high camp while acclimatizing.
Yeah, so we did a couple rounds at 20,000 feet getting ready to climb while watching the weather to see when we'd have a window to go and make an attempt on the north face of Janu. And finally, the window came, or as we're acclimatizing, we saw a window was coming, and, oh, I'm totally lost on the slide right now. Another cool photo of Janu behind, and we're happy.
Yeah, so we did 2 rounds of acclimatization, and we saw the weather window come up in early October, and so we were like, yeah, we're psyched, we're getting ready to go, and our route starts by climbing this rock buttress to avoid an ice fall to the left. And so we kind of go up a lot of this scree over here, which is really loose and kind of not difficult, but just dangerous because a lot of rocks are falling. It's easy to slip and lose your footing. And then we kind of climb difficulties, weaving up this face and following the ridge up to about 5.7 or 5.8, and that takes us to 17,500 feet.
Yeah, the rock climbing on that first buttress is really awesome. It's pretty cool to start a route like this by rock climbing. You're not in your mountain boots yet, and you get to go move around freely.
You have heavy packs, and this rock buttress is generally covered in a lot of either moisture or snow more frequently, and it has a lot of moss on it as well.
In the 2 years we tried this before, we both climbed it in snow conditions where the whole buttress was covered in 2 feet to 3 feet of snow. Makes it kind of hard.
This was on a balmy day on a acclimatization mission.
And that leads us up into the side of the ice fall. So we can't climb the rock buttress all the way up onto what we call the upper plateau. So we have to sneak around it in between the rock buttress and that ice fall that we showed in the first photo there. And this is another 300-meter section, and it's a little intense and scary in there because there's just all these big blocks of ice that are looming over your head the whole time, and you really want to try and make fast work of it. Yeah, more climbing with heavy packs and back in the ice boots and getting excited to see what's above.
Yeah, and it's always creaking and cracking and making weird sounds, and you hear collapses that happen in the middle of the ice fall. It's just an eerie place to be.
And that's looking down into the ice fall from just below the top where we get onto the upper plateau. But it just shows really how treacherous that terrain can kind of be, how undulated it is.
And that leads us to the glacial plateau, where you get your first full frontal view of the north face of Janu, and it's incredibly intimidating because you're looking at about 5,500 meters of terrain directly above you. And so we're gonna bivvy in this, what we call the Bergstrand, where the glacier separates from the mountain. And it's essentially just a crevasse right at the base. And so we're gonna crawl in that crack and sleep. And in the morning, we're gonna look at climbing this ramp to take us to the base of the true technical difficulties.
And this is our last little bit of sun for the next couple days, so we took a moment up here to just sit and soak it in for a few minutes before we committed to the shade. This is that bivvy that Matt was talking about in the Bergschrund, which ended up being a pretty exciting bivvy. In the middle of the night, a whole bunch of spindrift started coming down off the face. I woke up to the tent wall, or our portaledge wall, just sort of collapsing into me, and I kept scooting closer and closer to Alan. Just being like, oh, it's coming down. And we ended up having to get back in our boots and go dig it all out and build some walls and try and slow the flow.
Yeah, we diverted a bunch of these little flutings above us to funnel the spindrift in different directions around our tent.
Yeah. And then also, so where the Bergschrund is where the glacier and the ice fall pulls away from the mountain, and it's this last point of contact. And when we'd gotten up to this bivvy, we dropped a bunch of snow in there and stomped it down to flatten it out. And there's a big crack in the back where it separates from the mountain. And throughout the night, when we got out in the morning, the Bergschrund had separated like another 6 inches from the wall, which was cool to see like how fast the glaciers can move.
And so then we began climbing up the ramp feature, which we try to simul-climb or solo to move as quick as possible, because this is where we're exposed to the most objective danger of the climb, because we can have tons of snow or ice or rocks falling off this head wall above, and the ramp just creates a funnel, so it's all coming down into the feature that we're climbing. Any little bit of snow, any chunk of ice, it all is passing through exactly what we're climbing on. So we need to move as quick and efficiently as possible.
It is a fun day of climbing though, like sticky neve for 3,000, 3,500 feet. And then that ramp leads us up to where we start to encounter the head wall. And at the end of the day that we were climbing the ramp, we got turned around by a tough feature that we were trying to use to get up on top of the hanging seracs in the wall. And we ended up bivvying in this ice cave, which was really cool. And in the middle of the night, at some point, someone woke up screaming, just like full frightmare. And we still don't know who it was.
It was a really bizarre place to be, because you can hear the serac, which is just a hanging glacier, creak and crack around you, and chunks would fall out of the ceiling in the middle of the night, so you never knew if it was going to come down on top of you. But we were well sheltered, which was nice. And then in the morning, we made 2 60-meter rappels to regain our intended route that would allow passage. And so we climbed ice and mixed runnels for the next 500 to 700 feet to get to the base of the head wall.
Yeah, and at this point, we're starting to get really excited, getting up and close to the head wall. This is really the reason that we all wanted to come out here to climb on this mountain, was for this massive chunk of granite up at 7,000 meters. And watching it get closer and closer was pretty special.
So this was at about 7,000 meters, and that's when the altitude really starts to take effect. You're breathing heavy, you have to pace your movements with your breath. And it's also, coincidentally, where the most difficult climbing begins. And, yeah.
Yeah, so at that point, we're up on the head wall. It's getting steep, and we're getting psyched. This is me leading one of the first real pitches on the head wall. And I think at this point, we're all just like really excited and getting ready to like commit to the wall. We haven't had any hanging bivvies yet in our portaledges, and yeah, everything had gone really well.
And this is also, we haven't mentioned this yet, but we were following the original Russian line before, and this is kind of where we begin to deviate from their original line, because they have still a bunch of fixed ropes up there, a bunch of fixed anchors and gear, and we always try to avoid fixing anything, because we're climbing in alpine style, which means we take the rope, the rack, everything on our back, and climb with what we have. We don't fix any ropes, we just go climbing. We're either moving up or we're moving down, and that's it. So the Russians were fixing ropes which all got left there, and they're jugging up and down and leaving those in place. And so we didn't want to kind of muddle our ascent by climbing by their fixed ropes and using their gear. And so this is where we deviate and go into unknown terrain. So it's a little more like excitement and unknown and like what's going to happen up there.
Alan was stoked. This is an exciting bivvy for us here. We climbed up onto this fin of snow, and we spent like 3 hours chopping through the ice to make a small enough a big enough platform for us to set up our portaledges on and try and rig the tent up. But on either side of the ledges, they were like hanging off 8 inches on either side. So the whole night, Matt and I were just we're sort of hugging on Alan. We don't know if that was taken well. But it was a beautiful evening, and we're up on the head wall and stoked for another not hanging bivvy.
So Jackson started off climbing that morning, leading our first block, and the terrain was, as you can tell, very steep. And we found perfect ice runnels that just kind of weaved their way through these steepness and difficulties. And we found really good gear along the way.
We might need power. Yeah. This is Alan sort of following the first pitch from that bivvy that morning, with our packs to the side getting hauled.
And the difficulties continued far into the head wall. It was very exposed. Alan had just led a difficult leftward traverse, which Jackson has seen here following. And it was like being up on the shield head wall in El Capitan, just wild exposure, perfect ice, perfect rock. This is what you dream of. It doesn't get any better than this.
This is where the bivvies started to become hanging. So we had 2 of those inflatable G7 pads with us, which really changed the game of us being able to attempt this face in alpine style. We were able to fit the whole ledge system in a pack, and then the fly and the sleeping bag in another pack. And so it was like pretty cool to have such light packs, which allowed us to sort of free up and move through this terrain much more efficiently.
And then the next morning, we ran into some of the most difficult climbing on the route. And so I had to do a couple pendulums from points of aid, essentially, just off the anchor, swinging to reach different features and traverse these ice sheets, which then led into what was seemingly blank rock. But as I climbed higher and started to get into the blank sections, I found these perfect little pockets of quartz crystals. And they were perfectly clear, and there were hundreds of them in each pocket. And it would be just enough to stick my ice pick into and pull on. And then as I climbed past, I could place a cam or a piton in them and protect the climbing really well and efficiently. And it was just kind of this magical energy that we had felt at the beginning of the trip when we were approaching the climb, was then working its way into the actual climb itself and showing us that this is possible and this is the way. And it was like the energy was guiding us up this climb, and anytime there was a questionable pitch or feature, something like a crystal pocket would present itself, and it would just like blow your mind. And you're like, whoa, how is this even possible?
We're figuring it out. Guess we can keep going. So we should talk about the packs. Yeah. So we also, once we got to the head wall, we started hauling our packs, which was a huge advantage for us to not have to climb with the packs on. And we've been working with North Face to make these hauling packs for the last year with Andres Marine, and it was really nice to have them up on this head wall. And yeah, hauling changed the game as well.
Yeah, it allows you to climb efficiently with nothing on your back. And it's when you're at that elevation and doing that technical climbing, it's really the only way you can actually climb.
We also fixed and followed a lot of this, use the fix and follow method, where the leader would get up to the belay, they'd fix the rope, or they'd pull up half the rope and then fix it so that the second could then micro traction up to the belay. And as soon as he would get to the belay, he would start belaying out the leader again, while the third would micro track in on the same rope. And this helped us to move a little faster without having to have two sets of ropes.
And while we were climbing, we had about as good of weather as we could have asked for, but that doesn't mean it wasn't windy and it wasn't snowy. We encountered a lot of high winds, a lot of spin drift that we had to climb through. And with it being a north face, you never see the sun, so you're never going to warm up or dry out any moisture, any condensation that's gathering in the tent from your breath or brewing throughout the night. It's all just accumulating within the fly of the tent, within your layers, your gloves, your boots. It's all accumulating, so it starts to add up. And this was on day 5 of the climb. So even if we have some of the warmest layers, you're still going to be very cold up there.
So at the end of this day, we bivvied just above where I'm climbing there at like 7,500 meters. And we thought we were going to have a pretty fast day to the summit the next day, where we'd be able to get up on this shoulder up above and then wrap around the backside through what we thought was going to be easier terrain. And it did not turn out to be that way. It was, as usual, harder than you'd think.
Yeah, so we climbed one pitch to gain this shoulder, what would that be? Just east of the summit. West of the summit, excuse me. And this is, probably the easiest climbing since the ice fall. And so and it's the first time we see sun since we were on the glacier down low in the ice fall. So it's been 5 days since we've seen sun. We took one backpack with us. I had forgotten my headlamp that day. I think Jackson forgot his sunglasses, which at that elevation is a really big issue because there's so much UV light and it's reflecting off the snow. You can get snow blindness really easily.
Yeah, it was definitely bright out that day. This is sort of where the technical climbing started on the southwest side of it. That's Alan leading up and around a corner to another sheet of ice. But throughout this, we were sort of starting to get pretty worn down and tired, and we started to forget each other's names at this point. We'd be like, I know who these guys are, but I can't, what's their name? And also had this strong feeling that there was a fourth person climbing with us, which was a very surreal experience.
And the climbing was much more difficult than we had anticipated. In the photos that we had seen and scoping the route from below, as far as we could tell, it looked like snowy ramps kind of zigzagging their way through, but it ended up being nearly overhanging ice climbing. And it was way more time consuming and difficult than we had anticipated.
This is me on the last pitch of technical climbing before the summit. And at this point, we were all definitely getting tired, and I'd taken off my glove below this belay and noticed that I had frostbite on my pinky. And so we sort of had a little powwow for a minute. We're just like, well, we're 100 meters below the summit. We can, turn back now and head down, or we can go to the top. And if we do go to the top, it didn't seem to change the outcome of the pinky, so we kept moving forward to not throw away 3 years of effort.
So we gained the summit ridge and continued up. We moved extremely slow. We were breaking trail. We were fully spent. We didn't have much energy. Alan's seen here booting up to the summit.
And then this is a video from the summit of, I think, me taking a breather, as usual. It was very cool up there. That's looking down the north side and over towards Kanchenjunga. And as Alan likes to tell the story, he was so tired on top that he didn't even pan up right now to show the 3rd tallest mountain in the world. He just...
Yeah, we spent about 5 minutes on the summit in total. You can tell Jackson is squinting without the sunglasses.
If I didn't need a be looking that day. I wasn't. I had my eyes closed with my buff pulled up over my face for most of the day.
Yeah, you can tell we're all like pretty visibly wrecked. You can see a little frostbite, and we were just like, we need to get out of here. I think we summited at exactly 4:20 p.m. and we were just like, wow, we thought we'd summit by noon, so we got to get out of here.
So that, yeah, we did summit on the dot at 4:20, and that evening we descended to like 11 o'clock at night to our camp at 7,500 meters on the head wall, where we spent another night in the hanging pods, and it was pretty brutal night. The inner pod was deflating through the night, and so where I was sitting there, I was sort of falling out of the portaledge. I had like my arm crooked around a strap all night. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had forgotten my headlamp, so while we were descending, I was going last. I couldn't see anything. I was just like going down the ropes, hoping these guys would pull me in and I wouldn't wrap off the ends. So it was a little terrifying for me. A big mistake, something I should have never done. And when we got back to the bivvy, I think this was in the morning before we began our descent of the north face. And when we were setting up the bivvy that night, I was like, we all felt the fourth climb. We were all having these hallucinations, but I had this strong feeling of like being in a forest and I'm just doing my own thing. And then I think Alan or Jackson said something to me, and then I realized like, whoa, I am nowhere close to where I thought I was. And it was extremely incredible to kind of like have that kind of experience.
And then that next day, we spent from like 7 a.m. I think till midnight rappelling and walking back to base camp. I think all said and done, we did somewhere around 80 rappels from the top to base camp. And yeah, big day of rappelling. We descended the face mostly on like naked threads and left a couple camps here and there, but we were able to like mostly V-thread our way down on the ice.
Yeah, so this is our entire route from start to finish. We called it round trip ticket because there was a Russian team, I believe it was in 2007, that had climbed the West Pillar, or the Magic Pillar as they called it. And one of them, Valery Babinov, I believe, said that maybe someday a pair will climb the North Face of Janu in alpine style, but they'll have to accept the likelihood of buying a one-way ticket, meaning that you're probably going to die climbing this face. And Alan Rousseau had bought 3 round-trip tickets to try and climb this, and he thought it was a very safe objective. We did as well. That's why we were trying it. So we were like, this is a round-trip ticket. It's a safe route. It climbs well, and we kind of went to a different world as well.
So once we were back in base camp with the frostbite we found out that Alan had gotten some frostbite on his left hand as well. So we made the decision to heli back to Kathmandu to get a treatment called Elaprost that helps drastically with recovering the blood flow to extremities. So we helied out of base camp, and then we went and spent 5 days in the hospital in Kathmandu, which is a very stark change.
Yeah, it's time sensitive, and we didn't want their fingers to get infected in the jungle.
It was a pretty wild flight out of the base camp, though. They sent a helicopter for only 1 passenger, and then all 3 of us piled in. And they had to get a running start out to clear the hill out of base camp. So we're just flying at this hill, not gaining altitude, just like, holy shit. And yeah, we were all pretty wrecked.
Yeah, I think this photo of Jackson was taken at like midnight as soon as we got back to base camp, and he pulled his glove off. I think both these photos were taken the next day when we arrived in Kathmandu.
So yeah, we got some frostbite. It's doing well, but here's some photos of it to share and a fun surprise at the end. That was day 1. This is a month and a half in when it molted. This was last night. And this is also last night. Unfortunately, the bone is sticking out there, so that is now getting cut off on Monday. But it's time to get back to climbing, so had to do it.
So, that being said, if you want to take home a piece of the ascent of Janu, we're going to auction off the fingertip.
Colton, where are you at?
Starting at $25.
A piece of
A piece.
alpinism history.
So, I'm Nate Sackett, this is,
Colton Moore.
and we are here to help raise money for an upcoming American award. And so we have Jackson Marvell's Fingertip, a once-in-a-lifetime offer that you too can own a piece of adventure of the Janu climb. So, as they said, the bidding starts at $25.
$25. Do I hear 30,
We have-
30, 30 anywhere? 30, raise your hand. We have a 30, 30, 35, 30, 30, going at 35, 30. No, we're not going in reverse. We're up to 30, 35.
No, we're at 40.
Looking for 30,
We're-
30, 30.
40.
We got a 35 up in the back left. We got a
We got-
40 over in the right. $40, $40, $40
Come on.
going once. $40, $40 looking for 45. We got a 45 in the back
45.
row. 45, 45,
50.
50.
Who is it?
50, 50, 55, 55.
We got
we
50.
55, 55, 55.
50.
55. $60. Do we get a $60? Anyone? Think of this home?
Come on. Where do we got?
$60.
We got 60.
We
of
got a
us.
60. We're going up to 65.
65 in the back. 65 in the back.
Up to 70.
Come on.
$70.
70 in the back.
75. $75.
All right,
A small-
we're gonna take a quick pause just so that everybody knows, for those of you that weren't at Bozeman, Matt Cornell was able to raise $3,000 for being on stage in assless chaps. This is Jackson's finger. Are you telling me that Matt's ass is worth more than Jackson's finger? Where are we at?
Maybe there's more money.
We got $100.
$100. Woo!
All
Do I have
right.
120? We're bumping it up to 120. $120 going to a
Absolutely.
anything you want. 110.
Come on.
We have a 120.
Where are we at?
120. Looking for 120 out there. Any of you fine folks in for 120?
We got 120.
120 up in the top right. Do we got a 130? 130 hanging out? 130 anywhere?
Come on. Who wants to
130,
own something that's
130,
been to the top of Janu?
A PLA d'Or potential winning finger.
Or maybe soon to be the Pinky d'Or.
What were we at?
All right, where are we at?
130, 140, 140,
140, come on.
We got a 140.
Where do we got?
140, 140, going for 150 now.
Come on.
Clean 150.
Where are
Only
we at?
one day's hard work
Really?
for a moment of history.
There we go.
160.
My man
Now
up
we're
top,
talking.
160. Where are we at?
170, 170.
Come on.
Where are we at? Let's see it.
Dude.
Empty out your wallets. Check your Venmos.
Come on.
170, 170, 170. Going
There
once,
was discussion
170.
of putting this
Looking
on
for 170
eBay,
out there.
and we thought it being a better excitement to auction this off live tonight. Don't prove me wrong. Don't prove me wrong.
Have Sackett hold it for a little bit. See how it feels in your hand. Maybe you want to take it home.
Excellent. Yes,
been
all
working
right, so
hard.
come on. Where are we at?
170?
Who wants to
Who had
own
170?
Jackson's finger? Come on.
Do we have 170?
Where are we at?
Anyone out there
Who's got
in
it?
the crowd? 170.
Who said? We got 170, 170. Come on. Come on, I feel like,
175 locked in the front row. Can I get a 185? Anyone
Come
out there
on.
with a 185?
Don't
this
prove me
gentleman's
wrong.
excited. He's got $175 burning a hole in his
this
pocket.
will,
Can we make it
you can
185?
either choose to take this home tonight or we will have it embalmed for you.
Dip in an epoxy. Wear
Whatever
around
you
your
would
neck.
prefer. Okay, where are we at?
We're at
175?
175. Do we have
Come
a
on.
185?
Come on.
185 out there.
Who wants
We're
it?
slowing down a little bit. We're slowing down a little bit. 185. Shoot
You're
for
telling me
200.
Matt's ass is still worth more than Jackson's finger? Come on. You can't take Matt's ass home unless you're Whitney.
185.
185.
Can we hit 200? Can we hit
Come
200?
on.
We got 185.
Come on, let's break
Sir,
200.
we're looking at you. Do you want to counter? Do
Come
you want
on.
to counter 190?
Come on.
Counter
Come on.
190.
One in a lifetime. Like, come on.
The one, the only.
The one, the only, the pinky.
Raise your hand
190. You got 190.
We
Come
got
on.
a 190.
Come on. Can we do
Keep
200?
your hand raised so we can see your 190 up there.
We got it. And again, this money is
200.
going to a new award that will be presented to American or foreign alpinists. 200 in the
bucks.
house.
Give them a round of applause. $200. Do I see a
All right.
210 out there?
Who wants it? Come on.
$200 going
Where we got-
once.
Bill, I haven't even heard you bid once yet. Oh, you started the bid. Okay, okay. Bill's known to collect a lot of items, evidently not fingers. Weird.
We got a clean 200. Do we have a 210 out there? 210.
Come on.
Let me hear 210.
Where we
Give
at?
him a round of
Jackson's
applause. 200,
finger.
210.
Oh!
210.
We got Bill back in the
Oh
game.
my gosh.
210, where we
Bill's
at?
at 210.
Come on.
Any other
Again,
offers? That's
once in a lifetime. You too can own a piece of the adventure.
We're
And
going.
we verified it is odorless.
Jackson did take a whiskey shot with the pinky in it.
Yes.
This did happen.
Yep. All right,
have a
where we at?
We have a going once for Bill at 210.
Somebody
bucks.
beat Bill. Don't
Do
let
we
it.
hear a
Make him
220?
envious. Come on, somebody
Does
beat
anyone
Bill.
can outbid Bill.
Somebody beat Bill.
$210.
Oh, we got 210.
You were gonna need a 220 if you're gonna beat Bill.
Bill did 210.
We're
220.
gonna need a 220.
220.
Or we're gonna give it going twice to Bill.
You got it once in a lifetime.
210 going twice to Bill Thompson.
Come
Awesome
on, you
Mission Ice
got it.
Festival.
It's 10 bucks.
210 bucks going twice. 220. I heard it.
Where? We got 220.
220 in the back
That's
row.
what I'm talking about.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bill,
You gotta
220,
earn it.
230. Bill's out. We got 220 going once in the back. 220 going once in the back. Can we get it
Again.
up to 220? Anyone else? 21 else?
Once in
Anyone
a
that's still
lifetime
waiting?
opportunity.
210 bucks. 210 bucks going once. 210 bucks.
220.
220. 220 going once. I'm losing track
Come
of my
on.
numbers. I've said a
Who
lot.
wants-
It's more numbers than I've said all year. $220.
Oh, we got 240. 240 in the house. Up top. 240.
240.
My man, bringing it
Come on down,
home.
Get some action in the front row. 240 bucks. 240 bucks. That's looking pretty good. Can we go 250? I'm feeling 250. What about you, Nate? How you
Yeah,
feeling?
I'm feeling it.
250.
Again,
250 out there.
maybe we'll have the winner's name added to the new award that'll be given
Maybe
away.
Jackson wants to buy back his own finger. Where are you at? You got 250 on it, Jackson?
Yep.
That's an
Again.
hour of build labor for you. You got it.
Yep. All right, where we at?
We're at 240 going once at the top. We're at 240 going once in the top.
Come on, who
250.
wants
Do we
it?
have 250?
Who wants
Bill
it?
walked out of the room because he was scared. 250, 250, 240 going twice. 240 going twice. We're getting close.
You're gonna lose your
250.
chance.
This is it. 250. Sold. 240 in the upper deck.
Woo!
Come on down.
Where's Jackson? Did Jackson already bail?
Jackson,
Jackson, come up on stage. We need a
we should
photo.
bring him back to present.
There you go. Yeah. Congratulations. And we got the man.
I'd like everyone to know this is the first time I bought a human body part. And if they would have charged me any more, I would have asked for another pinky. Thank you.
All right, let's get a photo. The winner in Jackson.
Give him another round of applause.
All right, can we give these gentlemen a large round of applause? Huh?
Is it good or
Yeah.
I'll put it in a little jar with milk.
That was our plan, was to like literally just put it in a small mason. Awesome. All right, I think Bill is up.
Yeah, I've seen a lot at this festival, but I've never seen that before. All right. All right, once again, hey. All right. That's dedication to a show, I'll tell you that right there. And thank you, sir, for that donation. That will be talked about for a long, long time. All right, get those red tickets out. So, we have wonderful sponsors at this event, and they load us with stuff. And as many of you know, the raffle isn't exactly my favorite thing to do, but it's your favorite thing. So, if you weren't here last night, we gave out mountain boots, we gave out tools, we gave out a bunch of stuff. So this is the second night of raffle, and then we really load it up tomorrow night, okay? The one rule we have is when we're done with the raffle tickets go in the garbage over there, not on the floor. So I want to go to the party afterwards, so I don't want to pick up the tag. So our title sponsor, everybody know who our title sponsor is? What's that? Black Diamond. The more you say that, the more we give away. So we're gonna. So we have an 80-meter rope. I think you could top rope Grand Island with that, baby. So ticket number 694 6307. All right, Josh's presentation was sponsored by Patagonia. We have a nice women's puffy here. $694 $635. Let me adjust my glasses again. 694. What did I say last time? 6335. All right, ladies. He'll be at the street party with this jacket. All right. Walking into the street party with that tonight. Now, it's dual purpose. Tonight at the street party and at the Polar Plunge on Saturday, right back at East Channel Brewery. It's a fundraiser for Special Olympics. Jump in the water, hop in the Firefly sauna, and then get into this baby. 694 6112. So Norona is a new sponsor to this event, and you'll be seeing a lot of support for them in the future. We have a fleece. It's green and gray. 694 6111. Men's Patagonia shell, be perfect for climbing in this type of weather. 694-6086. Who's our title sponsor? We have an ultralight screw. 694-5900. You have to a little louder next time. Some Nerona pants, great soft shells. Men's 694-6065. That's how you do it right there. Patagonia Pack 694-5975. The upper balcony is scoring. Carry crabs, some ice screw racking system here. Whoops. That's how tough they are. 694-5958. So long-time supporter La Sportiva, we have a $150 coupon code for some apparel. $694-5960. We have a Trango helmet. 694-6289. So Matt and Jackson are North Face athletes. So North Face calls this a four-season winter tent, a four-person. Jackson and Matt would call this an eight-person tent. $694-5728. So Joshua Tree Dave is playing, DJing at, yeah, you want this? Oh, you want the box? All right, I'll give you the box. Oh, the whole thing? Just. I like it. So Joshua Tree Dave is playing over at the street party as soon as we're done with this raffle. Donated a bunch of skincare and chalk. 694-6309. We're gonna up the ante and include a box with this one. $694-6285. You got a woohoo. And another J-Tree box, 694-6274. All right, we're going to go to the next one because no woohoo. 694-6064. We're going to do 2 Joshua Tree boxes. 694-6280. You didn't woohoo loud enough. Come on, I got one for you. So those delayed woohoos, you might lose out, so we want to hear you. What's that? Some Nerona softshell pants women's, 694-5904. All right, ladies, he's going to be at the street party. What's that? Oh, no, but it's good. I like where you're going, though. It's another gold level sponsor for $475 for a pair of mountain boots. From Loa, 694-5869. I was just carrying this out to sit on. This is exhausting. So a lilac-colored Yeti Tundra 45 for $694-5979. So our featured presenter tomorrow is Will Gadd. He's sponsored by Arc'teryx and Red Bull. So go to the headquarters tomorrow and fill this baby up with Red Bull. All right, last one for tonight because I'm getting thirsty. Don't forget about the pancake breakfast tomorrow. The high school, it's for the science program in Munising, and I can't remember what time it is. I think it's 8 o'clock. $10, all you can eat pancakes. $20 for a family, and if you were Fred Becky, you'd grab about 20 climbers and go in. These are all my cousins. So for a pair, who's our title sponsor? Black Diamond. For a pair of crampons, wait, the rule is no tickets on the floor. Throw them away on the way out, and then we'll do it all again tomorrow. 694-6074. She's running, so I think that's her.